Cassandra Mankwa was known for one thing among her circle of friends. She never backed down from a dare. Whether it was climbing the old mango tree behind the Presbyterian Mission School or sneaking into the headmistress's office to replace the class prefect's name on the punishment list, Cassandra did it all. Her laughter, bright and mischievous, always filled the air after every successful prank. And then there was Isaac. Isaac Osei, the boy who had loved her since their JHS days. He wasn't loud or bold like her. He was gentle, soft-spoken, the kind of person who'd rather stay in the background and make sure everyone else was okay. Cassandra loved him for that. By the time they got to university, she at KNUST and he at Legon, their love had grown deep. They were the couple everyone admired. Even the lecturers joked about it. "Hey, you two, you better marry oh." But Cassandra's thrill-seeking heart never quite calmed down. She loved games, challenges, and the rush of risk, and her friends knew it. It happened one Friday evening in her hostel room at KNUST. The girls were playing Truth or Dare. Philippa, her closest friend and the ringleader of mischief, grinned as she twirled an empty Sowero bottle on the floor. The bottle pointed straight at Cassandra. "Truth or dare?" Philippa asked. Cassandra smirked. "You know I never say truth." "Dare." Philippa leaned forward, eyes glinting. "I dare you to break up with Isaac." The room went silent. Cassandra laughed, thinking it was a joke. "Hey, you people, that's too much." But Philippa pressed on. No, not for real. Just pretend. Tell him it's over, block him everywhere, ignore him. Let's see how long he lasts without you." The others squealed in excitement. "Yes, let's see if he really loves you." Cassandra hesitated. She knew Isaac loved her deeply, maybe too deeply, but part of her pride whispered that she could handle it, and that it was just another game. "Okay," she finally said, shrugging. "Let's play." That night, she called Isaac. "Isaac," she began, her voice cold and deliberate. "I think we should break up. I don't feel the same anymore." There was silence on the other line. She could almost hear his heartbeat through the phone. "Cassie, what are you saying?" "I just don't want this anymore. Please, let's end it." And she hung up. She blocked him everywhere. WhatsApp, Instagram, even Facebook. The next day, she laughed it off with her friends. "He'll call back through someone. Watch. He can't last 2 days." But Isaac didn't call. Days turned to weeks. Weeks turned to months. And Cassandra started to wonder if he had believed her. If maybe he had truly let go. Meanwhile in Accra, Isaac was breaking. He stopped eating well, stopped attending social events, and his grades began to slip. His friends tried to cheer him up, but nothing worked. He would stare at his phone for hours, scrolling through old photos of Cassandra, the ones of her laughing, holding coconuts on the beach at Ada. He replayed the last call in his head every night. "I just don't want this anymore." He loved her too much to beg, so he kept silent, even though his heart felt like it was splitting into two. Months passed. Cassandra's laughter wasn't as bright anymore. The day started to feel empty. Philippa got busy with her new boyfriend, and the others moved on with their lives. Sometimes, in the quiet of her room, Cassandra thought about Isaac, about his calm smile and the way he always said, "Cassie, take life easy. You don't need to prove anything to anyone." Then one evening, she saw him. She was in Osu at a cafe when Isaac walked in, looking different. He was taller, cleaner, and confident. He had a new glow. A woman was with him, beautiful and elegant, her hand resting comfortably in his. Cassandra froze, her heart raced. When their eyes met, Isaac smiled politely, but it wasn't the smile she remembered. It was distant, composed, as if he had finally made peace with everything. Later that night, she texted him for the first time in months. Isaac, I'm so sorry. It was all a game. A stupid day. I never meant to hurt you. He read it and replied, Cassandra, you didn't just hurt me. You taught me. You showed me that love isn't a game. I've healed, and I'm happy now. Please don't apologize. Just be well. She stared at the message for a long time, tears rolling down her face. For the first time, Cassandra realized that some days don't end with laughter. Some leave scars that time alone cannot heal. 5 years had passed since that night in Osu. Cassandra Mankwa was no longer the reckless girl who lived for thrills. She was 28 now, a marketing executive at a tech firm in Accra, with a tidy apartment, a busy schedule, and a silence that sometimes felt heavier than the world itself. People still saw her as confident and outspoken, but beneath that, Cassandra carried a quiet ache of memory of Isaac. She never reached out again after that message. He had drawn a line, and she respected it. But not a day passed when she didn't wonder what would have happened if she'd said no that night. If she'd laughed off Philippa's day and chosen her heart instead. One evening, after a long day at work, Cassandra drove to East Legon to meet an old friend, Philippa. They hadn't seen each other in years. Philippa had changed too. She was married now with a toddler who kept tugging at her braids as they spoke over drinks. They laughed, reminiscing about old days, about hostel life, lectures and silly games. Then quietly, Cassandra asked, do you ever think about that night? The dare? Philippa's laughter faded. She looked down at her drink. Cassie, I've thought about it 1,000 times. I didn't know it would go that far. I'm sorry. Cassandra smiled faintly. We were kids. But that one game, it changed everything. Later that night, Cassandra couldn't sleep. She found herself scrolling through social media until, by some twist of fate, she came across a photo of Isaac. He was at a charity event, smiling beside a group of students. The caption read, Isaac Osei Foundation, empowering youth through education. He looked happy, whole, at peace. Cassandra followed the page and read more. How he had started a non-profit for underprivileged students. How he was mentoring young men about emotional strength and resilience. She smiled sadly. Of course, he would turn pain into purpose. That was who he was. The next Saturday, she attended one of his public talks in Kumasi. She didn't tell him she was coming. She just sat quietly at the back. He spoke with calm conviction about learning from heartbreak, about how pain can rebuild you if you let it. Sometimes, he said, what breaks us also teaches us how to love better. Not just others, but ourselves. Cassandra's eyes filled with tears. When the event ended, she waited as people crowded around him, taking pictures and shaking his hand. Finally, when most had left, she walked up to him. Hi, Isaac. He turned. For a moment, surprise flickered across his face. Then he smiled. A gentle, sincere smile. Cassandra, it's been a long time. Yes, she said quietly. I came to listen. You are doing amazing things. Thank you, he said nodding. Life has its own ways of shaping us. She hesitated. I've wanted to thank you for forgiving me, even when I didn't deserve it. He looked at her for a long moment, then said softly, forgiveness isn't about who deserves it. It's about freeing yourself. I forgave you long time ago, Cassie. I just couldn't go back. She nodded, her throat tight. I know, and you shouldn't have to. They stood there, two people who had once shared everything, now separated by time, mistakes, and growth. There was no anger, no regret, just a quiet peace. Before she left, Isaac added, "You know, I always believed you'd do something great one day, not because of what you did, but because of who you could become. Don't waste that." Cassandra smiled through tears. "I won't." Months later, Cassandra launched her own social project named Dare to Heal, a mentorship of counseling program for young girls in universities. She spoke openly about emotional responsibilities, peer pressure, and the dangers of turning life into a game. Her story became a lesson, not a scar, and sometimes when she stood before those girls and saw the light in their eyes, she whispered to herself, "Some days break you, others make you." And in those moments, Cassandra Mankwa finally found peace, not with Isaac, but with herself. The years rolled on quietly like the tides that never stopped touching the shore. Cassandra Mankwa was 38 now. She stood on the veranda of her small home in Ada, overlooking the sea, the soft morning wind carrying the scent of salt and palm oil from nearby markets. Her life had changed in ways she could never have imagined. She had married a kind man named Rafolowusu, a teacher she met during one of her Dare to Heal seminars. Their love wasn't fiery like her old one with Isaac. It was steady, mature, and full of understanding. Together, they had one daughter, little Mavis, who had inherited her mother's bold laughter but her father's gentle heart. And though Cassandra loved deeply now, a small part of her heart always carried Isaac's memory, not with longing, but with gratitude. It was because of him that she learned what love truly meant. Every year, on the anniversary of the day she launched Dare to Heal, she wrote a letter to her younger self, a letter she never mailed, but always kept in a wooden box by her bedside. That morning, she took out one of those letters and read it again. "Dear Cassie, you always loved dares. You thought strength was in proving you were fearless. But real courage isn't about taking risks. It's about being honest, choosing love over pride, and admitting when you've made a mistake. You lost Isaac, but you found yourself, and that was the greatest dare of all." She smiled, folding the paper carefully into the box. From outside came Mavis' voice. "Mommy, come and see. Daddy says the sea is dancing today." Cassandra laughed, the same laugh from years ago, only softer now and wiser. She stepped out into the sunlight, barefoot, the waves glimmering like glass in the distance. As she lifted Mavis into her arms, she whispered almost to herself, "No more dares, just love." The wind carried her words out to the sea, mingling them with the rhythms of the waves. A quiet, eternal song of lessons learned, hearts mended, and peace finally found. Thank you for watching my video to the end. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more African tales. Until next time, may your path be blessed.